So verse 59 clarifies that the root of control or restraint of senses has limits. This route won't take you very far. And then verse 59 also gives the solution. It also tells you what lies beyond sense control. Somebody went after taste, somebody went after sight, somebody went after touch. Don't be fooled, because senses are mere instruments. You have to figure out who the one behind them is. Are you really compassionate, or are you just restraining the arms and the tongue? Sense control is a wonderful thing when it happens spontaneously as a byproduct of self-knowledge, and therefore continuous inner strife. Now this calls out the bluff of those who say don't go by our actions. We are actually good people inside. Don't judge me by my deeds, my decisions, my actions. I am actually a very nice fellow within. How many of you know such people? How many of you are such people? ये मत देखो कि मैंने पूरी दुनिया बर्बाद कर दी, बंदा मैं भीतर से बहुत अच्छा। You are what you are doing. That's it, finished. Chapter 2, verses 59, 60 and 61 must be read together. Verse 60 tells of the fall that comes when the senses run amok. So Sri Krishna says, Kaunteya, even the minds of the wise and striving ones are carried away forcibly by the turbulent senses. That's 60. We are considering 59, 60 and 61 at once. So that's the problem statement. That's the problem statement. And in the problem statement, it appears that we are going to concentrate on the senses, on restraining the senses. Next we come to verse 61. And this one says, once you have restrained the senses, sit with discipline, devoted to me, which is the truth. And such a person is pragya pratisthit. Such a person is pragya pratisthit. Senses restrained, sitting with discipline, devoted to me. Such a person is firmly established in wisdom, pratisthit in pragya. Right? So, seems all clear so far. Senses are the problem. Senses are turbulent. Senses are difficult to control. And they will carry away even the wise ones. We see in verse 60. And verse 61 then says, well, once the senses are restrained, with discipline, sit in devotion to me. And then you can be called as pragya pratisthit sthitadhi. Now is the time to then go back to verse 59. What does verse 59 say? Something very important. in some sense, it clarifies what verse 60 and 61. Otherwise, there is a great risk of misunderstanding. Why am I proceeding in this kind of circular fashion? 60, then 61, and then 59? For a very practical reason. Here, in our teaching program, we consider just one verse a day. And because we consider one verse a day, so by the time we move to 60 from 59, it might appear that verse 60 is an isolated verse. Whereas the fact is that you can move to 60 and 61 and understand them correctly only with the light you have gained in 59. But since we come to these verses after gaps of few days, sometimes even a gap of few weeks, so there is a danger that when we come to 60 and 61, we might totally forget what 59 says. And 60 and 61, as we have seen, appear to be only about the senses. So when, let's say today we do only 59 and then we come to the verse number 60 10 days later, and then we'll kind of pardon ourselves for thinking that verse 60 is just about the senses, right? So we are taking them together. And now to the clarifying part. Verse 59 says, well, controlling the senses is all fine. But even if you have restrained the senses well, yet inwardly you would still retain a thirst for the pleasure that is obtained through the sensual route. And that is no good. That is no good at all. What exactly does the verse say? Well, the senses can turn away in case of those who learn to abstain from objects of consumption. The senses can be turned away from objects of consumption, but the rasa, the inclination, the pleasure that one deems to be experienced from them, that still remains. So verse 59 clarifies that the root of control or restraint of senses has limits. This route won't take you very far. And then verse 59 also gives the solution. It also tells you what lies beyond sense control. It says, even this inclination, this rasa, this feeling of pleasure, this disappears when the Supreme is seen. When the highest is seen, only then do you really succeed. Otherwise, you will not. So, senses appear to be a problem. Yes, definitely. Senses can bring the downfall of even the most composed people. Understood? Once senses are controlled, there is discipline and devotion. That too is understood. But it's also rather more important to understand that through repeated practice, it is possible to have external control, but the internal tendency would still be alive and kicking within. And that internal tendency has to be taken care via the internal method only. The external method is that of Indriya Nigraha. Indriya Nigraha. What does sense control mean? Very simple things that you see all around all day. And why do you see that so much? Sri Krishna specifies that in verse 60. You see that because it is a matter of common experience that following the route of the senses brings about downfall. And that is evident. Somebody went after taste, somebody went after sight, somebody went after touch, somebody went after something else. And you could see how they were devastated, ruined, brought to their end. You can see that. Since you can see that, the immediate instinctive response is to hold the senses accountable and restrain the senses. No? Since you can see that, the immediate thing is to, for example, we have had this practice in certain denominations, better call them cults, that if the member happens to look at something that is forbidden beyond a specific number of times, then he would gouge his eyes out. He would say, these eyes have committed a crime, so they do not deserve to exist anymore. A violent and even more perverted form of the same thing exists even today in certain traditional and very fundamentalist kind of societies, where if you have committed theft with your hands, these are the senses, right? Karmendriya. If you have committed theft with your hands, they would chop your hands off because the senses are responsible. And that's seen very easily. It was with these hands that you picked up the item you stole. So they are responsible. And so publicly, first of all, you'll be punished. It's there for all to see, and then gone. And if you are a rapist, then your genitals will be chopped off. That too is practiced. Because, it's the senses that are responsible. It's the senses that are responsible. That's not false, but that's not true either. The senses are just the means, the karana, the instrument. And it is very plain, very straightforward to see that you do not punish the knife used to stab someone, or do you? Because the knife is a mere instrument. Then why do you punish the hand holding the knife? Because that is not understood. Why is that not understood? In absence of self-knowledge, you do not know who the real doer is. In absence of self-knowledge, you do not realize who the real doer is. So what do? You assume that the hand or the arm is the doer. You assume that the arm is the doer. In courts, when judges write capital punishment to someone, you know what they do with the pen used to write that? The nib of the pen is broken, as if the pen is in some way responsible. But it's an old tradition. That's always done. So the punishment would be written and the judge would then there itself execute the pen as well. Do you see the mindset? And if you will go into it, you will find that this attitude exists in so much that we do. Because we do not realize who the real doer, hence the real culprit is. So we punish some intermediary, some instrument. Or if we do not punish it, we want to act on it. We all have problems in life. Do we ever realize who the real problem maker is? Who the doer of the problem is? Do we realize that? And therefore we act at all the wrong places. Our friend there is swooning, he needs water. Water for him. Or come and sit here. How? Now, do I pluck out his eyes? Do I pluck out his eyes? Yeah? Or if you make stupid notes, should I punish the pen or the fingers? Should I? Violence is not only about sitting in the audience and having a gun and shooting the speaker. That kind of violence might be actually bearable. So, verse 60 is the common perception of what leads to a person's fall. The senses are so overpowering. They carry away even the most steadfast and sincere of wise people, devoted people. Even they are carried away. The senses are. And that's a common motif in spiritual literature. They talk of senses. But whenever you find senses being talked of as the culprits or in any other sense, don't be fooled. Because senses are mere instruments. You have to figure out who the one behind them is. Here we talked of eyes in what particular way? Just now? In my sweet exchange with our friend. And then you go to Sheikh Farid. He talks of eyes in a totally different way. Right? When I am gone, let my eyes still remain intact and open. Right? Why? Because they are awaiting the beloved. So there again, now is it and that will again, if you're not careful enough, that might again give you the impression that there is something special about the eyes. Because it didn't talk of any other part, not even the heart. He didn't say don't take away my heart. Don't poke at my heart, you crow. Let the heart beat, because in my heart is the blood of the beloved or whatever. Very violent. He talked of the eyes. And in popular culture also, again and again you say, beautiful eyes, beautiful this, huh? You sit in my eyes. Even Saint Kabir at one place he says, I'll put you in my eyes, and then close the eyelids so that you don't run away. So that you don't run away. I'll put you here and close the eyelids, and now you cannot run away. So you feel there is something special about the eyes. What else can be said? And how else can it be said? Some color, some perfume, some entertainment has to be added, no? Otherwise you won't listen. But whenever there is a mention of the senses, be very careful. The senses are nothing. The senses mean nothing at all. Verse 59 is so extremely important. It demolishes all the sense-directed disciplinary action. You can control, discipline, restrain the senses, or even chop them off or plug them out. It won't help you. That's what Sri Krishna is saying, verse 59. Why? Why? Because the internal one that is always craving to cling to some object of the senses is still alive, intact, and equally hungry and thirsty. No change has happened there. In fact, if you take away one particular sense, this one will start appropriating, exploiting some other sense in a greater manner, doubly. If it cannot, for example, look at delicious food, something has been done to the eyes, or you have simply covered your eyes. It cannot look at delicious food. You'll find that the sense of smell has been activated more. The sense of taste too is doubly active. Because the one sitting here has to consume. If this gate closes, then more traffic will flow through this gate or this gate. And this we do find in visually impaired people. Those who cannot see, we find that their sense of touch becomes sharper. They become more sensitive to touch. They get more information from their skin than you gather. Because this gate is closed. Their ears, the oral senses, also become more sensitive. They hear more finely. Because the one sitting here has to take stuff in. If not through this gate, then through this gate. Simple. Saint Kabir says, Das dwaran ka pinjara. There is this campus that has 10 gates, 10 entries. You close 2 or 4 entries, all that will happen is more traffic. Because the one sitting in is still equally demanding. It will get stuff from somewhere. Now, instinctively, a question might have popped up. What if all the gates are closed? First of all, that's a pathetic situation to live in. But even if you somehow manage that, the one sitting within has no problems at all, because the one within is in itself an independent sense. Close the eyes, it starts dreaming. Close the ears, it still keeps hearing. Give it no facts, it keeps assuming and imagining. So even if you shut down all the senses, it makes no difference to the one within. In fact, it will only gain in freedom. Why? Because when the eyes are open, there is a slight danger that some facts might slip in. But when the eyes are closed, even that danger is thwarted. Now, no risk of encountering any facts. You can coolly just sit with eyes closed and keep imagining, keep imagining, keep imagining. Verses 60 and 61 are very, very liable to be misinterpreted without we set the illumination coming from verse 59. Are you getting it? Yes, there is a certain benefit to be had from external discipline. But the lover, the devotee, you too need water. Yes. Keep it boiling the next time onwards. आपके लिए ये, हाँ. What do you think? It is the eyes that are trying to fall asleep? No. No. You know what you demand? What you demand is, Acharya Ji, either bring us very close to yourself, like this fellow. He's not sleeping anymore. He'll be awake the entire night, 4 nights. No issues. Because this is what he wanted. You come and you sit here, no issues. And you come here, sit here. Either bring us very close or let us go and sleep, have a happy time. This is a stupid demand because there is just one table that can't handle everybody. This will collapse. There are constraints of space and time, no? And we have to honor the facts. All facts are in some sense limits, no? Is there any fact that is unlimited? Talk of anything factual, there would be a limit to it. So, disciplining the senses might deliver you quick benefits, perceivable benefits, but those are not the kind of benefits that the real devotee or rebel, the authentic person is looking for. The authentic one is not looking for a continuation of the status quo in a smoother manner. He's not looking for that, nor is this the purpose of spiritual wisdom. Though 99% of people who come to spirituality come with this objective. The objective is, we have a particular system, I have a particular way of life. There are particular grooves and patterns we are settled in. We already know this is the business that gets us our bread and butter. This is my family. These are the 2 kids I have to take care of, and all that is settled. This is the purpose of my life. This is the matrix of my life. Now just tell me how to make this whole thing less painful. How to run this entire show more smoothly. It's the same show that has to run. What kind of show is this? Okay, shit show, fine. No, Steve said that. I didn't. Why should I take everything upon myself? So this same thing has to run. And I come to Babaji or even to scriptures just to figure out how to run it less painfully. No, that's not the purpose of the real one. The purpose of the real one is different. The real one wants to go to the root cause and eliminate the very root of suffering. Not just trim the branches and the twigs and the leaves. But yes, if you go down the route of sense control, there are perceivable immediate benefits, shallow benefits, but immediate benefits. Right? For example, there is something wrong with the roots itself. Right? So a lot of leaves are yellow instead of green. So what one could do is, one could remove all the yellow leaves and the benefits that are perceived are immediate. See, all the yellow leaves are gone. There were so many yellow leaves, disfigured leaves, underdeveloped leaves. And what did I do? I removed all the yellow ones, so it all looks so good. That's the root of sense control. Now the eyes cannot see the problem. You could, in a more comical version of this, or you could wear green glasses. That involves even lesser effort. You could wear green glasses, and now you're looking at the tree and saying, see, because I controlled my senses, there is no problem anymore. And this is indeed a form of sense control, is it not? You have blocked the eyes from looking at yellowness. You have in that sense disciplined the eyes. No, you will not perceive anything yellow. You will look only at green. So, and there is immediate benefit. But the more you look into it, you realize that not only is the benefit just immediate and shallow, it is actually not a benefit at all. It is a grave loss, because it keeps you humored, it keeps you distracted, and it keeps you assured that the problem has been taken care of, while the real problem keeps festering within. First thing, the benefit is shallow. Okay, pros first. Pros, the benefit is instantaneous, right now. Just put on the goggles and everything is all right. See, no yellowness. Somebody said, my tree is diseased. Where is the disease? There is no disease. Or, see, everything is yellow here. No yellow. No yellow. There is no yellow. The benefit is immediate. That's the pros. Cons, the benefit is shallow. And if you investigate deeper, there is no benefit, but a lot of harm actually. Getting it? The real problem is always within. If your legs take you somewhere, don't fracture your legs. If stuff keeps exploding in the mind, the stuff is not the problem, nor is the mind. Mind is simply the place where stuff is stuffed. You are very tactfully avoiding the question, who is the one doing the stuffing? The mind is a storehouse. Certain illegitimate things are found in a drawer. You punish the drawer. In your almirah, the police discovers narcotics, banned substances, or a gun without a license. They'll take the almirah and hang it or throw it into a river. The mind is the drawer, mind is the almirah. The mind is simply a place where stuff is stored. The mind is at best a good proof, sound evidence that there is somebody making mischief. If there is nonsense in the mind, that is at best proof that there is somebody inside making mischief. That's all. But we continuously talk of controlling the senses and then controlling the mind. Sri Krishna says no. If you are someone satisfied with crumbs and little pieces of consolation, then fine, do all this. Closing your eyes for 15 minutes, saying, I won't speak for 2 weeks. That too is sense control. No, there's a sense. I won't use it for 2 weeks or 6 months or whatever. Or running away to the hills or some place saying, I won't look at people for such duration. Or saying, this kind of food, now I'm going to restrain myself from that. No bananas for me. That kind of thing. Rajdeep, you are getting dirty. Not everything has a double meaning. All the time he is smiling at everything. Deepji, please be careful. Getting it? There are those bad places, I won't go there. Because we are talking of bananas and stuff that is eaten. In India, there has been a big tradition of vegetarianism. No? We take only vegetarian food. Now, if you bring that to Krishna, he will say, what are you doing? Are you really compassionate, or are you just restraining the arms and the tongue? What have you done? Is your decision to have only plant food plus milk, obviously, is that coming from real compassion, or is it coming from this thing? Now, when it comes to compassion, there is something quite interesting about vegetarianism. It is a kind of sense control. I will allow only particular kind of food to hit this sense. It goes into feeding caste discrimination. Not that I am particularly concerned about the goat or the chicken. For religious reasons or some other reason, I can slaughter them. In indirect ways also, I can cause them harm. But because I belong to one of the so-called higher varnas, I am pure. I am pure. And I am pure at the level of the body. You are impure, so I am superior to you. So this particular kind of food control, which is sense control, is not really coming from compassion towards animals. Not really. You look at that fellow's life. He has been a strict vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian. All his life he has been a strict lacto-vegetarian, which is not vegetarian at all. We know that. All his life he has been a strict lacto-vegetarian. You look at his life, do you find a trace of compassion? There is no compassion at all. And still he says, no, I will not kill animals. How is that possible? But he has been doing it all life. How? An important reason has been the incentive to maintain a caste distinction. I am one of the pure varnas, so I do not touch impure things. You please understand this. It's not that I'm crying, my heart is bleeding for the chicken that got killed. I'm actually calling it impure. Please understand. It's not that this one is getting killed, so I pick it up and put it to my chest and say, no, I love you, I can't get you killed. No, that's not the case. On the contrary, what I'm saying is, this is impure, therefore I will not touch it. Do you understand this? Now that's what happens when you practice sense control without self-knowledge. You go to people who practice very rigorous vegetarianism, to the extent that they will say, if in this particular restaurant they are serving both veg and non-veg, I will not enter. You have such people, right? And then you have Vaishno Shuddha Dhaba. What that implies is that we do not cook any stuff here. So it would appear that they are just overflowing with compassion. No? Are they overflowing with compassion? These might be people who just recklessly hack down jungles, participate in that, demand dowries from their daughter-in-laws, their families. They do that, right? And the prevalence of dowry, we very well know, is the highest in the upper castes. We also know that of the 5 crore women missing in India, I took an entire session on it. Feticide is most prevalent in the so-called higher castes among Hindus. In fact, among non-Hindus, it is not so prevalent at all. So this is the vegetarian person who is very prepared to kill his daughter and to demand dowry from the daughter-in-law, but he is vegetarian. This is sense control. This is what Sri Krishna is warning you against. And that's why all the meat eaters often come up with the example of Hitler. They say he too was a vegetarian. Now, the fact that they are putting forward is right, but they are cherry picking. They are quoting Hitler just so that they can continue slaughtering animals. So all that is nonsense. But the fact they have quoted is indisputable. You can be a vegetarian and still be a Hitler. This is sense control. This is sense control. Because there is no compassion. There is just a particular discipline coming from some random interest or bias or prejudice or inner violence. That's where this discipline is coming from. Armed militants too are very disciplined. Where is that discipline coming from? That's coming from inner ignorance and violence, is it not? Hitler's army was a very disciplined army, by the way. Otherwise, it's one medium-sized country in Europe aiming to conquer the entire world. They wouldn't have dared to. It was a very disciplined army. Discipline, most of the times, does not come from the right center. I'm extremely disciplined. I don't even take biscuits that contain egg. Very disciplined. But I'm a very corrupt official in my office. All kinds of nonsense and discrimination and violence I have been perpetrating. I can do that. Therefore, the normal kind of vegetarianism or even veganism is of no avail at all. It is just karmkand of a kind. You are doing something without knowing where it is coming from. The reasons are very shallow. And then you can afford to be or pretend to be non-violent in one aspect of your life while remaining happily fully violent in all other aspects of life. I'm a vegan, but I can be a very, very violent vegan. Have you not met people? Now, what kind of veganism is this? I'm a vegan with 3 kids. I'm a vegan that's a fan of the IPL. So, do you know the carbon footprint there? I'm a vegan, but I have a crush on that particular cricketer. Do you know his personal carbon footprint and you are a vegan? This is the kind of fragmentation that shallow discipline can create. Therefore, you are being warned against ignorant sense control. That does not mean sense control is in itself a problem. Sense control is a wonderful thing when it happens spontaneously as a byproduct of self-knowledge. Where there is self-knowledge, there is natural, organic, nasargic self-control. It happens before you can ask for it. It happens without your permission, let alone your effort. The false kind of sense control or mind control, and sense control and mind control are actually not 2 words, 1 word. Mind control is redundant because mind is in itself a sense. So when we say sense control, that includes not just the karmendriya, gyanendriya, but also the manendriya. Right? So sense control includes this also. Sense control is in itself a pretty foolish thing involving a lot of effort and a lot of failure. But for the Atmagyani, it happens almost involuntarily. Imperceptibly. I didn't even know that I have sense control. I don't have to restrain my feet from going towards that direction. Just that now there is no motivation to go in that direction. Control is for those who are first of all motive driven, desire driven, no? So the desire is impelling you in that direction, and then you apply all kinds of huff and puff and discipline and say, no, I'll not go there, and there is an internal conflict. The desire is pushing you that side, and you are saying no. Like those who are striving hard to stay awake. The desire is asking, where is the bed? And you are saying, no, keep the eye open. The muscles in your eyelids will grow biceps. This kind of exercise, continuous 2 hours, you will walk back with 14-inch eyelids. Watch out. Are you getting this? That's a sorry state to be in. How many have been in that state? The whole system within is craving for something, and externally you are saying, no, don't do this. No, please. 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 Or the system within is saying, no, don't do this. And externally you are pushing the system. Yes, you have to do this. You have to do this. Has that happened? That happens daily. And that is what is lok dharmic morality. No understanding within. Just a code of discipline without. And therefore continuous inner strife. It's about something within. It's never, never, never about the eyes or the body or this or that. Never. Controlling the instrument or the equipment will take you nowhere. You have to speak to the one holding the equipment. You have to ask that one, sir, what will you get by obtaining that object? Have you not already obtained it so many times? And if you already have it and it doesn't suffice, what will one more experience of a similar kind give you? So many people, they write on the community. When the session is on, we feel drowsy. Now the session is over, it is 3 a.m. and I am unable to sleep, I am writing my reflections. Was it the eyes? Really? No. That one within, the hidden one within, the ugly one within, it just wanted to avoid the session. Therefore, it made the senses fall asleep. You don't even know who is it within that is casting this spell. The evil one comes, as they show in the movies, and bewitches you. Now, sleep. And you just... In our case, that witch, that seductress, sits within. From inside, she says, sleep. The moment the session is over, you are again, oh, fine, no problem, I'm all right. One fellow said, sir, this was long back. Sundays, mornings, you hold your sessions. And I come from, some place he came from, Delhi or Gurgaon. He says, my place is far off, 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. I feel very lazy. I feel very lazy in coming to you. But fine. After the session was over, he promptly got up and wanted to leave. I said, no. Your place is so far off, 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. Just lie down and sleep. Aren't you feeling lazy about the whole thing? And you must be tired by now. Mornings you are fresh. The moment when you have to leave your place to come to me, you are fresh. One should not feel lazy, but you feel lazy then. Right now you must be so tired. 4 hours of cardiac surgery. So you relax, you don't go back. So very sheepishly he grinned, and he sat down for some 2.5 minutes, then looked at the mobile, and there was somebody shrieking there, yelling and all. And then he immediately sprung up. No, I have to leave. No, but you are lazy. You sit here. But you are lazy. Is it about the mind telling you, I don't want to work? No, it's about you telling the mind, you don't want to work. It's not that the mind is telling you, I don't want to go. You are telling the mind, you don't want to go. There's a great difference there. Doership, ownership, responsibility, solution. When you fail to spot the doer, you'll also fail in coming to the solution, because the solution has to be with respect to the one causing the problem. If you do not know who the doer is, how will you? You are saying, no, the mind, though, the mind is doing the mind is playing tricks. The mind is doing nothing. The mind is only doing what you are telling the mind to do. And so complete is the control of the ego over this instrument that it can order the instrument to do very surprising things. Very surprising things. And you will feel as if it is happening at the level of the instrument. No, it is not happening there. The orders are coming from the high command. You'll feel that it is the instrument that is misbehaving. No, the orders are coming from somewhere else. So many kids, they actually report temperature at 7:30 a.m. because the school bus is about to pick them up. Not that they are making it up. The thermometer will tell you 99.1. Such is the grip of the ego on the body. If it doesn't want to go to school, it can actually raise your temperature so that you don't have to. And now you have evidence. Mama, I'm sick. And Mama will say, yeah, no. He's not faking. See? 99.1. The moment the school bus is gone, it's dot 98.4. And now the entire day is available. And the monster within now grins. Been there, done that. So many times. If there is something you do not want to do, you'll fall sick. Simple. Simple. If there is a place you will want to avoid, you will fall sick at that place. Simple. Now, there can be exceptions to this. But more often than not, this is the rule. There are exceptions, obviously. But please understand, because we just don't account for those, for the possibility of this. You don't want to eat with someone, you'll not feel hungry. The fellow will say, here's some food, and you will simply say, I'm genuinely not hungry. Now, this might sound as mystical or something, and even border on illogic, border on even superstition. But this one has the ability to shape events around itself to some extent, not to a great extent. You don't want to go to a place, you'll find stuff happening in your house that doesn't allow you to go to your place. So there is the Mahotsav at GBU, and we have called people. And every time it happens that if 1,500 people confirm that they are coming, 1400 show up, or less than 1400. So if we know that there are 1500 seats, we allow 1700 forms to be filled up. And it's not that these people didn't want to come. We have a rigorous process. We just don't allow anybody to drop in. You fill up the form, then your qualification is seen. Then your counselor would call you up, and the counselor has to independently confirm that you are worth attending a physical session. All those things are there. You book your ticket as well. And the night before the departure, on the day of the departure, something happens. Mother-in-law broke a bone. Husband got romantic. Sudden outpouring of whatever, love. Our love is of the kind that outpours through only physical fluids of a certain nature. Tremendous outpouring. How do I come? The entire house is flooded. What do you think? Where is that thing coming from? And you know, the monstrous part is, it is not thought out. The ego sits beneath not just the consciousness, but also beneath even the unconscious part of the mind. You will not just be not consciously aware. You will not even have a subconscious, unconscious inkling. You will not realize what is happening and being done by whom. The ego is the most hidden thing. It controls everything from behind. You will never know what is happening and by whom. Strange cases, at least 20, 40, 50 cases every time. Yes, I had to come on 26th of March, but I booked the ticket for 26th of April. Seems like, a genuine mistake. You selected 26th March. You forgot to be careful about the month column, the month drop down. So 26th is all right, but 26th April. The question is, have you ever done it in any other instance for any other occasion? No. How did this happen only for this occasion? On one hand, it is not deliberate. On the other hand, it is very much deliberate. If you may absolve yourself. You may give yourself the clean chit. No, I didn't do it on purpose. Yes, you didn't do it on purpose. But still it is happening on purpose. And you could have stopped it. You could have stopped it. You didn't do it, but you could have stopped it. With how many of you has this happened? मुझे पता ही नहीं चला ये कैसे हो गया मुझसे. You didn't come to know that can be forgiven because the one doing it is sitting behind you. But it is happening through you, and that's when you could have stopped it. You didn't do it, but you are the instrument, right? That one is planning and executing, that one. But that execution can happen only through you. So when it was passing through you, so that it can be executed, that was the moment when you could have caught it and stopped it, but you didn't stop it. In that sense, you are culpable. You are guilty, and you must suffer, and you will suffer. Hollow excuses won't do. I didn't do it on purpose. Somebody books a train that is known to run late by an average of 8 hours. So the fellow reaches the place exactly when the session is getting over, gets decent food to eat, and shares a taxi back with people and saves money. Now, this data is available, is it not? The average delay is very much available even on the booking websites. And there were 14 trains running from your place to Delhi. You chose only the one that runs late by 8 hours on average. And you will say, look at me, I had pious intentions, I actually wanted to come, I invested money, I came there, I did so much. In fact, you should sympathize with me that in spite of investing time and money, I failed to attend the session. You must sympathize with me. Instead of that, you are holding me culpable as if I am a criminal. One fellow got very angry last session. He reached here at 6:15 and he was not allowed in. And he said, I have now realized, koi kisi ka nahi hai. Do you have such expectations from any other place that you would be allowed in? I hope you are educated. You would have written examinations, so many of them. The examination starts at 4:30 p.m. You report at 6:15 p.m. What will you get? But here you expect to be allowed in, so that 50,000 others who are watching at that time, they get disturbed. This is the level of your self-centeredness. Allow me so that I can disturb just everybody in the middle of the session. Not these people, not these 60 or 100 people. The 50,000 that are going to watch this live right now or the recordings later. Let me disturb just everybody. This is the level of your resistance, your protest against what is happening. When you doze away right in one of the front rows, you very well know the impact it is going to have on the speaker. But you do that so that the session and the recording and then the publication of books, that gets disturbed for eternity. If you manage to cause disturbance in this setup for 5 minutes, how far do the ripples go? They go till eternity, because the same impact will now carry over even to the books. And it's the books that are the eternal legacy. And you know that very well. And you're still doing it. Maybe you don't initiate it. Maybe somebody sitting behind you, not the one sitting in the back row, behind you, within you. Maybe somebody sitting behind you initiates it, but it happens through you. And that is the moment when you should catch it. And that's the reason observation of action is the road to self-knowledge. Do you see that very clearly? The doer is sitting behind you. There is no way you can directly watch the doer. The doer is unavailable, invisible. The doer sits enveloped by the greatest darkness possible. His very name is Ahankar Andhakar. The doer sits in a primordial cave of absolute darkness. Nobody can ever watch the ego as ego. You can only watch the ego as actor. Which means you cannot turn around and say, this one, this one is the ego and causing all kinds of mischief. But whatever the ego does, it happens through you. And that is action. And therefore you must watch your actions to know yourself. Knowing yourself here means knowing the ego. Watch your actions, and actions include thoughts, emotions, instincts, reactions, everything. Plans, hopes, everything. Memories. Even memories are actions, because you don't remember everything. You pick up stuff. When you pick up stuff, are you acting or not? It's like sending a query to call data. You have huge databases. Do you always access everything? No. So when you say, oh, I just recalled, that's an action, because you wrote a query, SQL. Do you use SQL these days? Oh, that has lasted since like 30 years. So you write a query, and that query goes there and fetches data. That's an action. So just by seeing what is it that you keep recalling, remembering as memories of the past, you will know yourself. Even to look at your memories is to know yourself, because that too is action. And the ego can be known only through its action. Otherwise, it is strictly invisible. Strictly invisible. The good part is it cannot be without acting. So it will always be found in action. Therefore, it is always possible to watch it or catch it. Because the ego is such a restless thing. It is such a thing suffering within itself that it cannot be at peace, cannot be still even for a moment. It is always squirming. Have you ever seen somebody writhing in pain? Are they still? No, that's the ego. It can never be still. It is always acting, always doing something, subtle or gross. So you can always catch it in action. And the action happens through you, through your senses, the 11 senses. Therefore, watching these senses is the only way to catch the ego. No other way is possible. Do you understand this? First thing, you cannot watch the true self, because if you are watching the true self, it is not the true self. The true self is indivisible, non-dual. Therefore, there can be nobody to watch it. So if you think of Atmagyan or Atmavlokan as watching Atma, you are thoroughly mistaken. But that's one of the widely prevalent beliefs in spirituality. Atma ka darshan. This is stupid. Very stupid. First thing is that. Now, second thing is, even Ahankar can't be watched directly. Atma cannot be watched at all. Even Ahankar can't be watched directly, because it is not a thing at all. Using your senses or approximations, estimations, your judgments, you can only watch things, right? Things. The Ahankar is not a thing at all. In fact, it is nothing at all. How will you watch it? But it exists. It exists, and it has taken our name. It exists, it acts. So it can be watched in its actions. Actions. Now this calls out the bluff of those who say, don't go by our actions. We are actually good people inside. Don't judge me by my deeds, my decisions, my actions. I am actually a very nice fellow within. How many of you know such people? How many of you are such people? ये मत देखो कि मैंने पूरी दुनिया बर्बाद कर दी. बंदा मैं भीतर से बहुत अच्छा हूं. Sir, you are what you are doing. That's it. Finished. I work in a slaughterhouse, but I'm actually a very benign fellow inside. Not possible. I keep making mistakes, Acharya Ji. That will hurt and harm you very deeply. But within I love you. No, ma'am, not possible. If you are continuously doing things that will get me in trouble, then that's who you are. The ego is its acts, not its professed intentions. See what you are doing, not what you are claiming. And every time your action is in contradiction to your claim, don't defend the action, revise your claim. Your claim was false, mischievous, misplaced. Every time it is exposed that your actions stand contrary to your claims, ruthlessly drop your claims. That's self-correction. Instead, we uphold the claim and somehow try to force fit the action with the claim. Your deed is who you are. I love you no end. Show me what you have done for me. No, I will do a lot of things for you. Nope. 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 I want to eat up your present. And reward you in your future. Run away. Do you see how far these things go? Spirituality is not some sweet in the skies. It's about laying threadbare the very fabric of life. Moment to moment, day to day occurrings that we know nothing of. Spirituality is about enlightening those things. Write down ego as claim versus ego as deed. Ego as claim versus ego as deed. This is also what is called as pakhand or hypocrisy or self-deception in day-to-day language. Getting it? Now, what is sense control in this framework? There is the one sitting behind you, and he is the absolute controller, the total monarch. And your entire system is bound to follow his command, his or her command, the one sitting behind you. That's how the entire system is. You cannot look at that one, but you have been fed some morality that talks of vice and virtue, do's and don'ts, right? That one is commanding you to do something, you do that. And then on the morality manual, you find it to be prohibited, proscribed. So what do? You say this is not to be done, because this is one of the restricted or prohibited things on the morality manual. I'm not to do this. So you say, I will no more do this. Do you even have the authority to not do that? Who has the authority? The one behind you. So from upstream, consider a river. Upstream, there is a big glacier sitting and melting. and there is heavy flow. And downstream, with some kind of feeble dam, you are trying to control the flow. Will that be possible? No. Upstream, there is precipitation and the melting of the glacier. So there is just so much flow. And downstream, you are trying to practice self-control, sense control, mind control. And what are you trying to accomplish that with? A tiny dam with feeble gates. To some extent, you will succeed. And the success will be instantaneous because you will close the doors, the gates of the dam, and you will find that the flow has momentarily reduced. Just momentarily. After a few minutes or an hour or a few days, what will you find? The entire place is overflowing with water. There are floods. There are floods. Because the source has not been addressed. From there, the whole thing is still flowing in equal measure, equal volume. And you have no way to address that. So you're trying your little tricks here at your level, downstream. It won't help you. With how many of you does it happen that you practice restraint on some front or the other for a week, 10 days, 15 days, and suddenly the floodgates are let open? I am not to eat anything beyond 12.5 calories. I have to lose 44 kilos in next 15 days. Well, that's how much I weigh. "10 days eating nothing, surviving on water. 11th day, binge." And you know, when they binge, the moment you said binge, there is this trick these days. They take the stomach and cut it to half. There is some name for this process.
Laparoscopic surgery. Sleeve gastric.
Something. Either of these two names. Both sound equally terrible. The very size of the stomach is the first container here. Once you take it in, it goes here. You are saying, I'll reduce the size of the stomach. So there is no place to store the food. So if you are overweight, what they do is they cut the stomach to half, like this much. There is another kind of sense control. And I'm pretty sure those people will find a way around. Maybe use an artificial stomach or something. I don't know, something. Or the urge to satiate yourself through food will find its expression now through some other channel. Instead of having copious amounts of food, you will now have extravagant qualities of some other sensory input. I can't eat. So let me find some other way to enjoy myself. And that other way will be equally horrible, equally nefarious. Because you were a horrible person operating out of ignorance when you chose to eat that much. That ignorance is still there. Now that ignorance will find some other outlet. You can't binge, right? You can't binge anymore. But you'll do something else. Maybe you'll take in medicines that allow you to process and digest the food faster. Right? So while the capacity has reduced, I'll increase the processing frequency. So it has been saturated. Let me clear it up using some medicine. Now free space is again available. Like those of you who still operate 56 GB mobiles. Store something, consume it, and then delete it so that something else can come. Just that the deletion frequency will increase now. There's nothing called 56 GB, by the way. 64. 8 GB was for the hidden folders. Rajdeep is again smiling. I've totally made a bad boy out of him. He came as Babaji's favorite. All kinds of virtue and goodness. He personified all those things. Totally destroyed. Do you get this? They say don't kill the messenger. You understand that now? What is happening through these senses is just a message that there is something messed up inside. Don't kill the messenger. And that has gotten very deep into us. There are people, if they utter something stupid, they say, ugh. Do you know these people? Have you seen them? One of you would enact this for us? Maybe somebody from the back rows? Not only this, it's a complete expression of your ignorance and deeply held belief that it's the senses, the indriya, that is responsible. So they do this. The fellow will keep uttering something absolutely stupid and then say, ugh. Means it's arising from here and exiting from here. So both these have to be punished. Also, there are those who do this. Those who do this. Why are you punishing these innocent material things? They don't have any consciousness. Their operator sits behind. Take a selfie in this pose. This is traditional spirituality. The tongue is to be punished. What has the tongue done? Such a harmless, little thing of flesh. What can it do? It's about catching these things in your daily life. There are those who would come to some particularly sensitive thing or an important moment and do this. How will it help you? How does this help even Christ? What you are demonstrating is the cross. When he was hung there, then you were enjoying. And now you are displaying it here. How will it help? But what you are indicating is the head, the heart, and the senses, the arms. How will it help? Christ is still up there, bleeding. And you are busy doing this. Or sleeping, maybe. Don't punish your actions. Figure out the actor. Morality and morality-driven guilt are conspiracies. Conspiracy is to shield the actor. Look at the absolute difference between dharma and lok dharma. Lok dharma will say that's a bad place. Don't allow your mind to go there. And even if your mind goes there, don't allow your legs to go there. Firstly, they try subtle sense control. And if that fails, which it will, then they try gross sense control. No, don't go there, which means don't allow your legs. Legs are again senses. Don't allow your legs to go there. And real dharma says, if you are again and again thinking of that, then you will have to investigate that. Without that, you will never gain freedom. So if that is coming again and again to you, go there. Lok dharma will say, no, don't go there. And the more you restrain and suppress yourself, the more you tell yourself, I should not go there, the more the inner fires, they intensify. And real religion, real spirituality is about observation, is about seeing the actuality of things. So if there is something that things don't attract, there is something that you are being attracted to very intensely. Real dharma will say, figure out what it is. Don't impose morality. Don't use guilt. Very guiltlessly, very freely, with the mind of a scientist, with the spirit of an investigator. Not a consumer, not the spirit of a consumer, the spirit of an investigator. Go there, use your legs, go there and figure out what it's all about. Figure out what it's all about. Therefore, across history, the experience has been that those who absolutely indulge are much the same as those who absolutely refrain. And often, it is those who absolutely indulge are found to later absolutely refrain. And vice versa. Those who are absolutely refraining, they then become absolute indulgers. And these two are the same. Neither of them knows what's going on. In one case, the gates of the dam are still holding on. So it appears that there is absolute refrain. No, nothing is happening. In the other case, the gates have yielded. So there is an absolute flow of indulgence. These two are much the same in their ignorance. Neither of them knows the actor, that point upstream from where the flow is initiated. Neither of them knows that. Then there are those who actually refrain. They are the ones who would have been found to have tasted, experimented, known, and experienced. And having done that, they find they are out of it. Because, not because they have done it, but because they have done it consciously. They have done it as an investigator. They have done it as an experimenter. They are saying, how can we totally drop it, absolutely drop it without knowing it? That does not mean that we are indulging in it. That does not mean that we are getting addicted or habituated. We are there to find out what the whole thing is about. And having found out, we are out. If someone says, such a thing, it's a very bad thing, and I have not tried it even once in my life, be a little skeptical. Either that person is really insightful, that even without the experiment and the experience, he could learn and absolutely refrain. Either he is insightful to that extent, or he is totally bogus. And most people are totally bogus. You feel like asking them, you do not know, you have no idea what it is. How have you dropped it? Dropping is possible only when you first of all go and experience, investigate. And then you say, this is nonsense. I don't want to be in it. And then real dropping happens. That's honest dropping. I'm not dropping because I'm afraid of the society. I'm not dropping because my conscience will make me feel guilty. I'm not dropping because there is a manual, there is a directive of do's, don'ts I have to stick to. No, not dropping for those reasons. I'm dropping because I know this is nonsense. So I'm dropping it. These are the people you will find with a special characteristic. They would have gone there and come back. Are you getting it? If you come across people who don't even know what their so-called vices are, what the so-called prohibited objects are, and yet have never gone to those objects, these are people who are just forcefully restraining themselves. And this kind of restraint won't hold for long. There is an explosion. And when there is an explosion, it is often kept hidden. Because that would be such an insult, no? I was trying to restrain myself and I was demonstrating to everybody that I am so well restrained since decades. And then there is this explosion. Or maybe the explosions have been occurring at some frequency continuously. How do I expose this to the world that on the outside there is such a holy restraint, whereas within the gates have been leaking all the time? Are you getting it? And that's hypocrisy, pakhand. Self-restraint without self-knowledge will definitely lead to pakhand and hypocrisy. Whereas self-restraint that comes from self-knowledge is organic, beautiful, effortless, natural, unplanned, not cultivated, not contrived.